Welcome, welcome, everyone. We are so excited to talk about the MS in Counseling program here at CSU Sacramento. Tonight's our information session. We'll be recording, so in case you miss anything, you'll have access to this information. Happy Friday. We are so excited to meet you all and talk a little bit about our program. We'll start with a little bit we're a pretty big program. This is a picture of one of our all cohorts retreat with three of our cohorts all together. This is in front of Eureka Hall. We're a very relational program and we like being together. And as we begin, we just are excited to talk to you all today. And we're going to start with our land acknowledgement.
We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Nisenan, Maidu, Miwok, Paiute, Washoe, Yokuts, Patwin, and Konkow people. Today, it is important to acknowledge that this land remains a shared space among the First Nation. Colonialism is an ongoing process, and we need to build our mindfulness of our present participation.
We recognize that the United States as we know it was built at the often fatal expense of forcefully enslaved Black people. We must acknowledge that much of what we know of this country today, including its culture, economic growth, and development, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their descendants who suffered the horror of the transatlantic trafficking, chattel slavery, and later on dehumanization through segregation and Jim Crow laws. We must acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations, and the resulting impact and generational trauma is still felt and witnessed today. Similarly, California was built in part upon the underpaid, undervalued labor of immigrants from China and throughout Latin America. We are indebted to their labor and their sacrifice and the continued impact those traumas have on current members of those communities.
Thank you both. So we like to settle with a mindful acknowledgement of our community. We'll start a little bit with faculty introductions. The faculty that are here, this isn't all of the faculty, but the faculty that have contributed to our information night and will be here today. So I'm Dr. Bita Ashuri Rivas. Some letters behind my name. I'm going to go through all of them because this will mean something as we go through this presentation. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in California and in Colorado. I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor here in California and a licensed professional counselor in Colorado. And in Colorado, I hold my licensed addiction counselor. Certifications I hold, I'm a national certified counselor, approved clinical supervisor, and master addiction counselor. My role here on campus is the MS counseling program coordinator, and I'm an associate professor. I teach in the core and marriage, couple, family counseling concentration. Some courses that I typically teach are our concentration courses, but also core courses, like I said, like diagnosis, group, the couples course, our seminar, marriage and family, among some courses. Research interests of mine include domestic violence. I'm working on a domestic violence project right now with a former alumni. I'm working on bullying in higher ed, as well as substance use disorders, obviously. With my licenses, it's an interest area of mine. So that's who I am. I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Dr. Anthony Rivas.
Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you here for this information session. My name is Dr. Anthony Rivas. I'm an LMFT, LAC, MAC, and AMFT approved supervisor. That means I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, licensed addiction counselor, master addiction counselor, and American Association of Marriage and Family Therapists approved supervisor. I am faculty on the MS counseling program, and my specialization that I advise is rehabilitation counseling. I'm also the fieldwork coordinator, and so I handle all things with fieldwork. That's internship related matters that makes third year students, you have to do 600 hours out in the field, and I handle those sites and liaison between them and the program. Some courses I teach internship, I teach practicum. Supervision is a passion of mine. I teach it for the state of Colorado as well. And I teach trauma and substance use courses. And research interests of mine are bullying and incivility in higher education, social class bias in treatment, and I am also researching on domestic violence. Part of my clinical background was doing domestic violence treatment, and I am currently starting research on with Dr. Mujaded Hossein. We are looking at the psychosocial aspects of what creates serial killers from the psychosocial aspect. So if you take classes with him, um, or me, we have a tendency to bring stuff like that up. So that is a area of interest for me, and I will pass this over to Dr. Marshall.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Marshall. I'm currently in the library quad because we're going to have a CSI event. That's Chi Sigma Iota. So I'm an associate professor. I'm in the career concentration and I teach in the core and the career concentration based classes. I'm also the clinic coordinator. My pronouns are they, them. I am one of the co-faculty advisors for Chi Sigma Iota. That's our International Counseling Honor Society with Dr. Daniel Cisneros. I teach classes like assessment and research and career development. And I really have a passion for taking the really maybe dry, potentially boring content that no one really thinks is going to be fun and trying to make it fun and have a good time. I also teach career theories and counseling theories in the advanced career course. And Dr. Ashori Rivas and I also teach the advanced theories and multicultural systems study abroad course in Vienna. So we will be going to Vienna again this summer. If you're interested in that, we got a faculty-led study abroad meeting next Wednesday. So let us know if you're interested in more information. I also do research many times in understanding wellness and how wellness impacts our career development, but also our identity as counselor educators. This is kind of under the umbrella of career development. Current research I have right now with a research team, we're presenting on participatory action research with both first-generation college students and those who work with first-generation college students to create a workable free access book to help aid in development and getting started in college. I also work within trauma-informed based care and do research and presentations on that. And I'm always looking for partnerships for the clinic. So if you have any in mind or want to talk more about that, I'm happy to. Most of my classes come with some sort of contemplative exercise. So if you want to try one right now, go ahead, take a deep breath in and breathe out. Notice your feet wherever they are, maybe on the ground, maybe in the air, but wiggle your toes a little bit and take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. And just notice what your body's telling you. I don't think there's another faculty member here, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to whoever's next.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marshall. I want to introduce our team, our counseling ambassador team. They are here to support you one-on-one. We want to make sure through the application process, through any inquiry you have, through any differentiation among specializations that you have, just one-on-one attention. They're easy to schedule with. We'll put in the chat, you can hop onto our website and it's an easy click here to book. They are trained to be in this role. These are trainees, counselors in training in their final year. So these are interns that have been in the program and in many leadership roles and are trained to do this type of work and support you. It is a really helpful tool. They are usually the first contact for all questions. There are no stupid questions. They are here to support anything, little, big, any direction you can do. It supports their getting hours, but it also really supports you navigating this process, especially if you're trying to differentiate or really make sure you have a good grasp on all of the mental health fields are so, each specialization is different, let alone the larger umbrella of mental health. With your end goal, they're here to support you. They're going to be helpful in navigating those application questions, information about the program, and they offer a unique perspective. So I'm going to have them go ahead and introduce themselves. I'll toss it to Kaylani.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kaylani. I'm a third year in the career concentration here at the program. Before I got into the program, I did my bachelor's in psychology and education from UC Davis, where I did a lot of work in behavioral intervention and clinical and classroom interventions as well. I did my practicum at the Center for Counseling and Diagnostic Services, where Dr. Marshall was kind of mentioning their role there. And my expertise there also lies mainly with children and adolescents in the clinical mental health setting. For my third year fieldwork experience, I'm currently serving as lead career counselor intern for the Sac State Career Center. So if you see me there, that's kind of the role that I play over there. A career counseling intern with Caltrans HR, Division of Human Resources, an MS in Counseling Program Ambassador, like Dr. Rivas mentioned, and a lab leader for the first year skills class. So that kind of gives me a pretty solid foundation in higher ed career counseling, state service and workforce development, and clinical counseling skills. Post-grad, I'm preparing to acquire my CCC, which is basically the certification for career counselors that we're eligible for after completing the program. And just some research that I've been doing throughout the course of the program is career counseling as a form of empowerment for survivors of domestic violence and trauma, and creating sustainable career development programs in high schools and in higher education. A little bit about me.
So if you would like to schedule an appointment, take a quick shot of the QR code, and I'll give just a second. Then on to Mary.
Hi everyone, my name is Mary. I am also cohort 13, so third year in the program, and I'm in the marriage, couple, and family concentration. Right now, for my internship, I am at a community mental health agency called Victor Services, and we work with clients that are referred to us from the county or from school districts. So that could be children or teenagers or transitional aged youth. And hopefully after graduation, I plan to become a licensed marriage and family therapist and also a licensed professional clinical counselor. And I will pass it on to Luis.
So in case you need a quick snap of that QR code, we will again put this in the chat. And Luis.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Luis, pronouns he, him. I'm also third year, cohort 13. I'm a first generation Latino student going to graduate school, bachelor's as myself. And I earned my bachelor's also from Sac State, did my bachelor's in Spanish. And this kind of supports some of my interests when it comes to the counseling field as being a bilingual counselor supporting students and families in that aspect. I bring over like 4 years of experience in higher education. Most of my roles at Sac State were more on the administrative side and also programming. Currently, right now, as it is my third year, we're completing our 600 hours of internship. The ways I'm meeting those hours currently is I'm a interest area counselor over at Sierra College in the Rockland, Roseville area. So I do mainly right now working with the business interest students. I'm also a student support specialist over at Sacramento City College, working with the Mesa Center. So working with students with mathematics, engineering, and sciences. Uh, I'm also one of the newest board members for a organization that comes from a lot of alumni from our program called Capital City Career Development Consortium. So a lot of alumni from the program got together to make more of a centralized local career support group and consortium for development. And I assist them with training and development as their director for that. Post grad, I have goals to also obtain my certified career counselor licensure. Also planning to probably begin my career counseling career at the community college, but also open to working in the state sector and maybe hopefully one day a PhD. So that's kind of the goals where I'm at right now. And if you have any assistance or require any, guidance towards your process of applying to graduate school, the QR code is right there on your screen. And yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting some of you.
So that is the team that will be here for this presentation and to talk to you. We have a pretty big faculty and pretty big student body, as you saw by that picture. So we'll put in the chat just a little link to all of our faculty so you can peruse.
So hello, everyone. My name is Alex. I'm one of the members of the support team for the Counselor Education MS in Counseling program. So just some virtual presentation housekeeping items for us to go through. As you may have noticed, this recording is being, or this presentation is being recorded. And so our hopes is to get that onto the website here shortly. So we do ask, please keep your microphones muted throughout the presentation. However, if you do have questions, kind of two routes. One, general questions, please feel free to drop those into the chat, direct them to everyone or directly to the counselor education. And I will do my best to respond to you as best we can. If your questions are not answered, we will, try our best here, but you can also follow up with our counseling ambassadors. If you have specific or personal questions about your individual situation, really, that again, as Dr. Ashori Rivas explained, that's really what our counseling ambassador team is for. They're here for you for those one-on-one meetings. We welcome you to schedule those meetings and they can help address those items. As we get to the end, we will have some sections to ask open-ended questions. When we get to that point, if you guys can raise your hand using the raise your hand option in Zoom, as we've shown here on the screen, go ahead and do that. And then we will take our time to try to get through as many questions as we can before time runs out. If, however, you are kicked off because of technology issues, just hit that link that you got from Zoom as your registration, and that should join you right back in.
All right, so a little bit of what we're going to do today. We are very proud of our program, but also we want to make sure you understand what materials you'll need to submit. So we're going to go through a little bit about our MS counseling program, just the general format, licensing and credentialing, as well as accreditation and licensing. Accreditation being a really important cornerstone when you're looking at graduate counseling programs. We'll do an overview of our 4 concentrations. We'll give you an idea of the culture of our program, and if you're new to Sacramento or the area, a little bit about Sacramento and Sac State. And then we'll go through the details of how to apply, some requirements, how to navigate Cal State apply, and then the Quad 4 system in respect to the application materials that we review at our initial screening step. And then evaluation and timeline, so you know how we evaluate applicants as a whole, and we'll leave some time for Q&A. Start with a check-in, Dr. Rivas.
All right, so this is me. So welcome again, everyone. So we're just going to do a quick check-in. We're going to use the chat feature. And so we're going to go in and just first off, just check about how did you all hear about our program? If we could hop to the next slide. Just take a few minutes, put it in the chat, how'd you hear about it? And, how'd you hear about tonight's information session? And we can go
We could do a waterfall chat. Yeah, everyone think about it.
Exactly. Everybody think about it and throw it in that chat. How'd you hear about us? Right? Was the sex so seeing the major advisor recommended this program? Okay, nice. Current student and an alumni. KCREP's website, nice. So we're seeing, social work professor online. Okay. Dad did research and found it. Sac State event. Counselor recommended volunteerism. The website. On the Sac State website. Colleague who went through the program. Nice. All right. So got some through the Instagram. I see that. Went to Sac State as undergrad, so we got a lot of local folks. We got a lot of folks that are hearing it from professors, KCREP website. Okay. It's good to hear. Looks like we have a pretty good name out there, right? I would agree that we definitely take pride in our program and the students we are graduating and the quality of students we're graduating. Another question we have is, where'd you go to school for your undergrad? And just seeing kind of a waterfall helps us not only, see where we're getting our future alumni from, as I like to say during these informational events, but to see, where y'all are coming from. So a lot of Sac State, got some UC Davis, got some SoCal folks. Nice.
UNC.
Michigan State. Got some folks that have a PhD. I see one that has a PhD and considering a career change. UC. Nice. Monterey Bay. Oh. Yeah, we are landlocked here, right? But yeah, so some folks from different areas. All right, thank you for participating. That helps us see where we are drawing our applicants and, like I said, possible future alumni. Like to hop in and talk about our program. We are the MS Counseling Program. So we are one program, and we have 4 different concentrations within that program. So it is a 60-hour KCREP accredited program. And I saw somebody said that they looked on the KCREP website. So for the folks who don't know accreditation, KCREP is the standard for counseling program accreditations in the United States. And it is, a requirement in a vast majority of the other 49 states for licensure. And we are very proud to have it and to continue to keep it. And it is something that you will hear a lot about in the program. So we have within this, within our MS counseling program, we share 45 units, and those are our core units. And then each concentration has 15 units within itself. And our 4 concentrations are career counseling, MCFC, marriage, couple, and family counseling, rehabilitation counseling, and school counseling. And within each one of those, we do pride ourselves on with career, marriage, marriage, couple, and family counseling, rehabilitation counseling. Those are all LPCC eligible for licensure when you graduate. There are additional steps you have to take through the state for licensure. School does have to take additional coursework to be LPCC eligible, and the MCFC concentration is actually duly licensed eligible, and that is for the LMFT in the state of California, LPCC, and then as I said, career can if they choose after graduation, or if they choose to go that route. Rehabilitation counseling is LPCC focused throughout the time here. About the program, we are a 3-year full-time program. So what that means, it's going to sound like a lot on the front end. It is 4 classes, and for the first 2 years of our 3-year program. So each year we enroll for the fall. So through spring, we go through all of our admissions process, and then we start in the fall. All of our courses are offered Monday through Thursday, pretty much from the morning to the afternoon to the evening. And we are an in-person full-time program. So I need to repeat that. We are a face-to-face program. We are not a hybrid program. We are not an online program. We are face-to-face, i.e. you are in a classroom with a faculty member in that classroom. Other things, we are a cohort model. So when you enter in the fall, you enter with a group of students from all specializations, and you will go through your 3-year program together, which is really nice. It does establish a community. And, during this program, it is a tough program. And so it does establish a community of folks that you can lean on, that are taking the same courses you are, and that you can work with. We do focus ourselves, as I said earlier, it's a 60-hour program, and it does lead toward licensure. And so we do focus not on theoretical only, we focus on that experiential learning. Counseling is going to be much different than undergrad. This is not just a memorization or regurgitation. This is a growth and introspection as well. And so not only are you learning theory, you're learning how to put theory into practice, and you're practicing that, and you yourselves will be growing. We do have a social justice advocacy focus with state capital and BVS being here. And this means that we are looking at promoting equity and access to care for all members of our community and ensuring that people do understand that mental health is health care. And we should have access to it just like we have access to medical care. And we advocate for our licenses, and we advocate for our field. I think I talked about the 4 concentrations and the shared units. So field work starts in year 2, pretty much second semester, year 2, so your spring of year 2, and that is when you go into practicum. And so career, MCFC, and rehab all do their practicum in the CCDS, or Center for Counseling and Diagnostic Services. We have a mental health clinic housed within the CCDS. And you get your first experience working with real human beings. School counseling does it in schools in the community, but you are working 100 clinical hours with individuals, and it's highly supervised, high support. And then your third year, you get moved into the community. And so you will interview with sites based upon your interest and your specialization. And you will accrue 600 hours over that last year, your third year, working out in the community with real life people under supervision. It's not as close supervision as your practicum experience, but it is, you're going to be doing weekly supervision, and that is part of your culminating experience. Then your third year, spring semester, the semester you're graduating, you're going to hear this. You're going to take the CPCE. Is a comprehensive exam over all the material you have learned in those past 3 years. It is a national exam, and it is that is your culminating experience. And the other doctor, Dr. Sherry Rivas, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, but we have close to first time around, what, 90+% pass rate?
Oh, we do have a 98% pass rate for our counselor preparation and comprehensive examination, which on top of the hours you need, it's passing that CPCE. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge, just went through the national means, and our students are actually score higher than the national mean. So that bell curve, we're a couple of standard deviations above that bell curve. So we do have high expectations, but with high support for our students. So if you look at the field work and if you look at the curriculum required, this is not only a rigorous program academically, it is a rigorous interpersonally program. So we can up to the next slide.
Ah, I went too fast.
Too fast.
Dr. Marshall.
Dr. Marshall.
All right, so we do follow a cohort model. And this cohort model is really meant to build relationships. So you're building a community of support. You're staying together through each year that you're going through. And we'll actually talk about the cohort sequence in a moment. But hopefully these relationships will extend beyond graduation. So while you have a set sequence, each one builds on each other, and you get to support each other through that process. You'll have classes both with your concentration, but also across all concentrations. We share 45 units, and from that, we also have the rest of our concentration classes. We also do research and presentations, both in the classroom and opportunities to network outside of the classroom. In October, we have a conference in Philadelphia where a group of students are actually presenting. And then the week after that, Myself and like 3 other scholars are presenting in Romania for the European branch of the ACA conference. So we try to give you opportunities to practice presentation and then bring those out in the community, because part of our work is also making sure that mental health and the understanding of what we do in mental health is seen and heard by others. And how do we get that information out there? A little bit on the study abroad opportunity. We will be doing another study abroad this summer. We go to Vienna. We spend 2 weeks there. You'll have 1 week on ground. And this opportunity is open to our current graduate scholars, but it is also open to undergraduates and alumni of the program. So we have a large continuum of opportunities for you to study abroad. If you'd like to learn more, I'm happy to answer questions at the end and tell you more about our faculty-led study abroad webinar, which will be next Wednesday. There's a lot of opportunities to get involved. You see some of our wonderful scholars here and counselors in training who are currently involved in helping us share what's happening in our program, but also a lot of leadership opportunities. Student Counseling Society works with student mentoring. CSI does a lot of opportunities for gathering research together, mentoring and research, demystifying the process. We just finished our last service event, which was last Saturday, cleaning up the Guy West Bridge. So you get to be in the sun and you get to have some community. And last Monday, we had a legislative advocacy workshop learning about how do we advocate for the needs of our clients and our profession. We also have the counseling student ambassadors who you've just met, as well as the counseling advisory board. So we actually get feedback from you and from the community on what can strengthen our program. And from what I've seen in the chat, it seems like we're continuing to strengthen that. We have a lot of opportunities to get involved, and we're excited to expand on those opportunities based on the skills that you bring in. This is an example. Sorry, this is an example of a cohort sequence. They all build on each other. So from what you take on that first semester, that is a prerequisite to get into your next semester. So those courses build, we scaffold this information. And so you take these together in sequence with your cohort. If you want to learn more about your classes and what that'll look like, the great part of our program is you will also be assigned an advisor. And so you can always meet with your advisor, plan out your cohort sequence, talk about the classes and your schedule. We offer classes morning, noon, and night. So you could stack your classes in one day. You could do your classes after work. There's a lot of different ways that you can organize your schedule. And we actually organize that. I will say Dr. Ashori Rivas does a really great job organizing this based on the feedback from each cohort and the numbers. It's a lot of work to do that. So shout out.
The developmental sequence. So we promise it all fits and until you stitch it all together with actual practice with people, and the bulk of your learning happens in practicum and internship. But the first year and a half is a lot of really foundational pieces. Yeah.
Thank you. And I saw a question in the chat about what do you do after graduation to get your licensure? So we have a slide for that. After you have obtained your master's degree, and that is the minimum requirement, that master's degree in counseling to go through the next process of your licensure. So we are BBS evaluated. We are also CACREP and COAMT evaluated. So this is help you if you would like to transition to other states, but you'll have to register for your license, which will require a criminal background check. You have to take and pass the California Law and Ethics exam. And you have to accrue supervision hours. So up to 3,000 hours, depending on the type of license, but it typically takes 2 to 3 years post-graduation to acquire that license. And then you'll take and pass the California clinical exam for respective license. This is with BBS approval. So after you've gone through this process of doing the ethics exam, getting your hours, making sure all you've documented, putting in your application process, then you take this next test for your LPCC or the LMFT clinical exam as well. Any additions on that one?
Yeah, so we are CACREP accredited for career counseling, marriage, couple, family counseling, rehabilitation counseling, and school counseling. Our marriage, couple, family track is aligned with COAMFD, but not accredited by COAMFD. And then all of those specializations are evaluated by the BBS, which is the Board of Behavioral Sciences. That is the licensing board for all master's level professional licenses, including licensed professional clinical counselor, licensed clinical social worker, and licensed marriage and family therapist. That's our board. And they evaluate the educational requirements that are met. So when you graduate, you've met the educational requirements, and then you begin your journey as an associate under supervision to obtain your full license. I know that seems like a lot, so it's good to know that, but know that our program has built within every bit of it, supporting you through that process. It's a big part of the final culminating experience course. You will not be on your own with it. You'll have plenty of information, but it is a process that is between you and the California Board of Behavioral Sciences. If you move states, it's good that you're coming from an accredited program because most states do require either COAMFTE or CACREP or some equivalency of that. So as you're looking into programs, consider that that could be really important in other states. Did I miss anything, Dr. Marshall? Dr. Rivas?
All right, this is a nice breakdown of how we are evaluated. So BBS evaluates us. We have been evaluated for the licensed professional clinical counselor and the licensed marriage and family therapist. So this means that all of our coursework not only aligns with the BBS requirements, but we also align that with CACREP accreditation. So all 4 concentrations are nationally accredited for the Council for Accreditation, Counseling, and Related Educational Programs. And please slow me down if I'm throwing a lot of acronyms out there without spelling them out. But CACREP is a really important entity. Some of y'all even found us through the CACREP website. This also helps you potentially, if you wanted to move to another state, you're coming from a CACREP program. These types of things are helpful, but they also help align us with the counselor identity so that across the nation, we are aligning with what counseling means. Our school counselors are accredited through CCTC, so the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. So our school counseling is accredited through CACREP as well, and with one extra class can apply for the LPCC. But in order to work in the K through 12 schools, you are required to have a PPS credential. So that's pupil personnel services credential for a school counselor. And there's a couple different PPS credentials. You need the specific one for school counseling. We operate underneath this accreditation, meaning that you will get all the hours you need before you graduate to apply and then start working towards any licenses, and if you would like to pursue those as well. All right, we do have 4 concentrations, so we're going to dig into each of these concentrations, but I also just want to highlight that we are counselors first. We are a counseling core program. That is our professional identity. And even though we have concentrations, they help strengthen counseling, not necessarily divide us across these. We have slightly different requirements based on accreditation or licensing, but all of these concentrations, we are counselors.
Big C.
Big C. I've been correcting so many things and stuff. Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about career counseling myself, Dr. Cisneros, Dr. Park. We are 3 of the career counseling core faculty. We advise in the program. But the goal is that we're providing you with both knowledge, theory, and skills to work as effective counselors and work in career development, because at our core, we are counselors first. So we specialize in that career development area. We can work as consultants, as coaches. We can work in grant writing. We've worked in community agencies, in board agencies. We can work in the K through 12 schools and career centers. And there used to be quite a few career centers before the pandemic, and we're probably going to see, hopefully, a resurgence of that as we move forward. We work in college and universities, including community colleges, private practice, as well as businesses. We work in industry and government. There's a lot of different avenues to working as a career counselor, a career coach, a career consultant across those different titles, but we train for career counseling so that you are gathering the skills for both career practice and clinical mental health practice. We look at career as a holistic part. Kaylani talked about the alignment with how can career counseling empower in relation to intimate partner violence. And so we're looking at the holistic individual. Career is a piece of our lives. We spend a large majority of our time working in some capacity, so it impacts our life and our work. And so we really want to take a holistic look at that, looking at planning for the future, both in individual and group sessions, but also addressing the current issues that are impacting us. Socio-political climate, our current globalization, the ways in which work, family, and life balance each other. We operate from a lens of both balance, multiculturalism, diversity, lifelong learning, and I would say a commitment to anti-racism and advocacy, because if you're working in career, you know about workers' rights. If you're working in career, you understand the way legislation and policy impact workers and impact the work that you can and cannot do. We are also LPCC eligible, so you can divide your time between working in that career sector and expand also to the LPCC. We're hoping that the concentrations are an opportunity to expand career options, not necessarily limit them. If you decide to pursue the LPCC, it doesn't close the door on career counseling. It just gives you more opportunities. I'll hand it over to Dr. B. Rivas from CFC.
So marriage, couple, family counseling. So we have a double clinical program. So our foundation of clinical mental health counseling is embedded within the core classes, and then the 15-unit specialization are systems courses. So seminar, marriage and family, advanced seminar, advanced skills in marriage and family, couples counseling. We talk about object relations, we do Santray, we talk about couples work, working with the system as a whole. And so those systems pieces, but also individual counseling and diagnosis, assessment, treatment, prognosis, co-occurring disorders are another piece of it too. So our application of that is going to include systems and individual diagnosis, family mapping, assessments, symptom inventories, double clinical. Our work is going to be in a variety of settings, community mental health agencies, county and state agencies, hospitals, private practice. Once individuals in our state are licensed, they can begin their own private practice, either as a sole proprietor or as a corporation, typically as an associate, which is postgraduate status as you're accruing your hours for full licensure. A lot of people elect to go into spaces where they're working in a group practice under the supervision of someone who owns the practice. Private practice consulting, businesses, agencies. We work in a variety of settings, performing psychotherapy and working with multiple systems. So while we are not COAMFD, accredited, we are aligned with the systems courses in the event you would need to do an evaluation or your program would need to be evaluated for COAMFD, but we are CACREP accredited, and a good portion of the states have one or the other. Good portion of the states have CACREP. And so of the approximately 175,000 professional counselors there are across the United States, about 8,000 are here. And of the approximate 75,000 marriage and family LMFTs there are in the United States, 45,000 are here. And so, having that opportunity to hold both licenses makes it easier to move states. And each of them hold a different scope of practice or a different kind of lens and a different professional identity. But again, like Dr. Marshall said, we are counselors, big C, and so that counseling identity is first and foremost.
Right. I am I teach in the rehabilitation concentration. Dr. Moshed Hossein also teaches in the rehabilitation counseling program, and our concentration. And so with our concentration, we are LPCC eligible. Our students are upon graduation. And this focus really does look at holistically all the clients you're working with, and it applies, co-occurring mental health, substance use, trauma, with an understanding of the impacts of disability on an individual's life functioning. And so with this particular concentration, the focus is on mental health and wellness, and looking at working with individuals with comorbidity and co-occurring disorders. As Dr. Shirley Rivas said, with the LPCC, it is one of the strongest licenses in the United States. And so with this license, you are working with individuals, you are working with couples, and you are working oftentimes with families to offer support to individuals that you are working with. And so I just saw a message from Dr. Hosen. He is here, so we could probably do a quick introduction once I'm done with this. So individuals work in private practice. They work in community mental health settings. We have interns at Kaiser. We have interns at the VA. And, you know, it is a clinically focused concentration. And I'm going to have Dr. Hosen introduce himself.
Chat. We'll put back in the chat any information you want about the faculty, because we are a faculty of about 13. If you include our lecturers, about nearly 20 people involved. So we're a pretty big program with different faculty, with different specialization areas. I'm going to talk a little bit about school and school counseling. So the school counseling concentrations, this is going to be people who definitely want to work in the K-12 system. So whereas career, marriage, couple, family, and rehabilitation have 600-hour requirement for KCREP, school counseling is both KCREP and CTC. So they have to meet 800 hours because the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing has upped the hours for practicum and internship to 800 for school counseling. So they have to be, our individuals in the school counseling program are working in 2 different settings. They have to complete at least between elementary, middle, and high, they have to work in at least 2 of those settings. And as soon as you have earned at the end of the program, when you've earned your master's, that's when you apply for your PPS, which is a credential that's necessary in the state of California. That's not a thing necessarily in other states, but that is required for work in a K-12 system in the capacity of a school counselor. This prepares individuals to work with K-12, pre-K through 12 students, working through social emotional, career development, as well as college and career readiness. So those are kind of the 3 primary areas that they're working in. And while those hours, 600 of them have to be in a K-12 setting, there's 200-hour wiggle room in any kind of a setting. And with the additional psychopharmacology course, and our school counseling is eligible for the LPCC as well. And they serve usually in many settings as a school counselor, K-12, sometimes academic if they go college, or consultant, program coordinating, usually a lot of leadership in K-12 systems. But just like every other specialization, they may hold a dual specialization with holding the LPCC. Let's stop here and ask if there are any questions specific to concentrations, LPCC, KCREP, and CTC. And just do a quick housekeeping. There was one question in the chat I do want to address. But I'm going to stop for a second. Let's use the chat as I slam my door because it's busy in the hallway. So one question is related to why are we not COAMFD? So COAMFD and KCREP are 2 different accrediting standards, and a lot of times they are not aligned with each other, even though the end goal is still psychotherapy services. And KCREP has the larger footprint. It has 8 specialization areas that it oversees. So it really supports our ethos of we are one professional counseling program with our specialization areas. And so with that, we feel that it gives you the better mobility because there are more KCREP accredited programs than COAMFD. It's just so that's the way our program has gone, is we've elected to stay and keep our KCREP accreditation. Any other questions? All right. Okay, let's keep going. All right, let's talk a little bit about program culture, Sacramento, Sac State, student opportunities as you're looking at different programs. They're all going to have a different feel. And in a K-CREP program, we are definitely, in our program in particular, relational and hands-on. So I will toss it first to why Sacramento, to Luis.
Yes. So as everybody was chiming in of where they come from, where they did undergrad, I know we have some Sac State and Sacramento locals, but we also have a lot of people who might not know exactly much details about Sacramento. Me, myself, I was raised my whole life in Sacramento. I love the city. If I'm able to do so, I think I'll be a triple alumni of Sac State and just the Sacramento area. Um, so it is the capital city of California, as we know, it's one of the biggest economic systems in, globally as well, just as a state. Um, the two main nicknames we have, City of Trees will always be the nickname I have for Sacramento, but the newer term is Farm to Fork. I think that just really showcases that in Sacramento, there's a growing food culture. We see a lot of local businesses opening up, and I think that's really important that you always have things going on around Sacramento. There's always music, sports. We have, the Oakland A's playing in Sacramento for a while. So if you need a de-stressor, go out for a baseball game or athletics. There's so many around. When you take those night classes, you might catch the beam if the Kings win. You'll kind of see it from our campus. You're able to see the purple beam just light up across the sky. And then reading off this slide, it's also Sacramento's consistently ranked within the top 3 of the most diverse cities, according to Time magazines. And that just showcases that we have a lot of opportunity here in Sacramento to work with a wide variety and diverse population of clientele. Close to other Northern California locations, we got anywhere between 2 hours, anywhere, you can be in Lake Tahoe, you can be in the Bay Area in San Francisco. There's a lot of nature aspects of it. And I just feel like in Sacramento, there's always something going on. So not only when you're in graduate school, yes, you're studying, but if you ever need some time to enjoy the city, I think Sacramento has something to offer you almost every day. And then I'll pass it on to Kaylani for the next slide to give you more details about the campus itself.
Yeah, so here at Sac State, we have a huge collection of resources and opportunities for that community engagement that we've all been kind of talking about. We're known as an Arbor campus, and that's a new term because I'm not a Sacramento State native, so it took me a minute to figure out what that meant. But we're basically a tree campus. As Louis said, we were known as the City of Trees, so we're an Arbor campus. And it basically just means we house a lot of different trees, a lot of different flora and fauna kind of populations here on campus. And we also house an arboretum on campus focused on supporting about 1,400 different species of trees and plants. Just in terms of trees, we have over 3,500 on campus, each with their own number tag. And students on campus like to try to find tree number 1 or the plaque for that as a bucket list item before kind of graduating and passing on to other opportunities. We also have several scholarship opportunities, both within the general Sac State campus and also within the College of Ed. I believe within just the College of Ed, we have anywhere from 40 to 60 every year. And they usually open in October for the following school year, ending in about March. And several of our students have been recipients. If you've been kind of stalking our social media, we post about the people who've won pretty consistently. And it's a good chunk. Cohort 13 has the most, so I think we're the best, but lots of students from different concentrations getting different scholarship opportunities, which is great. We also have a variety of on-campus activities and resources kind of throughout the year. We have the Well, which is our gym on campus, lots of sports events. Our football team is in the works to get a new stadium in the next couple of years, so that's kind of something to look forward to. ASI, which is kind of our student leadership, several cultural centers. So if you want to focus on supporting one of those centers, focusing on doing maybe your work there, something along those lines, that's always an opportunity for you as well. And then a bunch of musical performances, campus-wide events. I don't know if y'all heard, but Shaquille O'Neal was in the Sacramento area because he's now the GM of the basketball team. So those are some things that have been pretty recent for us. And campus-wide activities kind of throughout the semester and a bunch of other social stuff as well. And then we have two main organizations within our program for leadership and research, both of which we'll kind of cover later, but we have several opportunities to kind of get involved in a leadership or a committee capacity. We have opportunities for research outside of your immediate curriculum, like Dr. Marshall was kind of touching on. We have research symposiums that our faculty and students attend where you can kind of present your own research, conferences and events within our professional associations and honor society that really allow you to kind of flex those researching skills and showcase topics that you're really passionate about. And with that, I will pass it on to Mary.
Hey everyone, a little bit about the applicants and people who or individuals who get admitted into the program. A lot of them, they could be recent graduates from undergrad or maybe even from other master's programs, which leads me into people who might be wanting to start a different career. We have individuals who work full-time, part-time, a very diverse set of individuals that have various different kinds of like undergraduate degrees. A lot of applicants or people that are admitted might have already been working in the field or related fields, and we get a lot of people admitted that are that might already be parents or more established, so to speak. To the next slide. And some unique points about the program. So we have what's called Interview Day. And I believe we're one of the only campuses to kind of host like an interview day. And it's the second portion of the application process. I think earlier it was mentioned that it's like a holistic assessment of an individual. And we also have a new student orientation. And I also believe we're one of the only schools that does that, where you have the opportunity to meet future classmates, so people in your cohort, and it mentally prepares you for the real work, I would say. We have a 3-year format, and a little bit about that. Year one, I would say is very paper heavy, and it provides a lot of courses that introduce you to like intro skills, the core foundational content that you need. So it's listed here that it's a lot of experiential learning. Lots of new things. Year two, it's even more experiential learning. I think year two is when you start to take a little bit more of your specialization classes. Um, and in the spring, so year two, semester two is when you start your practicum. And that's when you start to meet with people or meet with clients from the community. And you are involved in a lot of supervision because, like I mentioned, it is when you start to see clients. And then year three is when you start your internship and you take a lot more specialization classes here too.
And one other thing to Mary's point about interview day, it's people do interview day, but ours is unique because it is a relational day, very interactive day. Same with our new student orientation. There's a lot of team building, there's a lot of experiential pieces. And then to highlight our spring symposium, we offer continuing ed or workshops with very different kind of specialization groups or very special topics like getting just more information about maybe trauma or domestic violence or working with special populations. And so we have this day centered around kind of a gathering that ends in our site fair. And our site fair is our opportunity for our students to meet prospective internship sites. And so that kind of kicks off our process of looking at what kind of site we want to be at. And so that last year is really heavy with a lot of program support around creating those relationships. We have a curated list of partnership sites for which we place interns, mostly in Sacramento, but in some surrounding areas as well. And that's the opportunity to meet everyone. So again, a very relational kind of conferencing, convening kind of opportunities.
Thank you.
Mary. Thank you, Mary.
And then what makes us special? So this has been mentioned like a couple of times throughout the presentation, but just being able to have that being able to be a part of a cohort. You're taking most of your classes with definitely people from your concentration, but other specializations at the same time. So you have other people to talk to about assignments and just lean on one another for support. And then team building, I would say the same thing. You're often participating like in a lot of discussions. So your classmates are supporting you during class time and maybe even outside of class time. And then in regards to personal and professional opportunities, you have the ability to, I think it was mentioned earlier, like attend conferences, present at those conferences, speak to professors about research, other interests, etc. And then connections and networking. So to this, and then Dr. Rivas, feel free to jump in. But talk to professors and branch out from there for anything that you're interested in, just kind of see where it takes you. The conferences, Dr. Marshall mentioned earlier that they are attending an international conference, so that's a possibility. I think ACES is in October, so that's a national conference, and a lot of local opportunities as well. And it's very cool to be able to connect with alumni from the program. A lot of you found us through our social media, and so that's one way we hope to stay connected to just the general public and also kind of establish that alumni network. And then ask the ambassadors. So we do have that program. It counts for hours, but I do take pride in being able to tell individuals about the program and what makes us great. Yeah.
Yeah, and we, again, community, I think is the word that's come up a bunch of times. So our alumni network keeps our alumni involved too. So we have, and our alumni are pretty actively involved in the program, and we have opportunities at the alumni level. So we talked about licensing. Our alumni network puts on a licensing workshop to walk people through associate application or licensing application. There's one question in the chat I want to hit up because we just talked about this. What degree of choice do students have in their practicum and internship placement? So our practicum placement is in our training center, which is a counseling clinic. It serves as a community mental health center for career rehabilitation, marriage, couple, family. I joke that it operates like a private practice. You do everything from intaking, screening, prognosis, diagnosis, intervention. You get the taste of a clinical experience. And so that's a massive part of that experience. And school is off-site, but at internship, it is your choice. We have a healthy list of about 150 to 200 sites that are curated and with close site partners that are experienced supervisors, and they've been vetted to meet our accreditation standards and oriented to the program. So it's you have a ton of choice in it, and we have a field placement system that we use where you can meet them at, but it is up to you to get the job, if you will. So usually there's quite a few interest areas. People will pick up to like 8 sites to interview and go through that process. And so it's a balance of what you want and also what life has in store for you. To Mary. Mary, sorry, I'm just hopping in there, right in there with you.
That's okay. And then study abroad, my favorite. Dr. Marshall mentioned earlier that the summer of 2026, I think there will be another opportunity to participate in the study abroad. So again, it does take place in Vienna, Austria, and the course specifically is called EDC 205, Advanced Counseling Theory and Multicultural Systems Abroad. So you're visiting during that class, you're visiting historical theoretical roots, so the Franco Museum, the Freud Museum, learning a little bit more about those specific theories as well. And for me, it gave me a different perspective on the theories. I understood those theories through a historical contextual lens, and it really was revealing how those theories kind of came about when you place it in like what was going on in the world at the time. So that was really cool. And it did allow me to develop my theory going into my third year. That was, I would say, like maybe a fear of mine. I would say I'm still developing my theory, but I think I went in with a clearer uh, mind or perception about the theory. So very cool opportunity. You get to travel, and this was the cohort, I think first cohort for the study abroad. I will never forget this. And yeah, it was just really fun. So if you have the opportunity to uh, study abroad, I highly recommend it.
All right, so we have all been kind of talking a little bit about the CCDS. Dr. Marshall and Dr. Rivas have kind of touched on it, but this is where rehab, MCFC, and career will all be doing their practicum. So this is the on-campus mental health clinic for Sac State. We provide low-cost services to the Sacramento community through those one-on-one sessions with individuals and also partnerships with community organizations. Um, Outside of doing it just for your practicum, a couple interns or a couple third years, I won't say like the entire population, but a good chunk of third years also get to use this as their fieldwork experience site to be able to focus on that mental health. And for career students, if you're especially interested in navigating that mental health sector as well, the CCDS is a great way to kind of build those roots, get your feet wet in the realm of clinical counseling and kind of build that experience outside of just practicum. Um, you have the opportunity to run groups, do outreach events, tabling. We have our partnerships with the community. I know me personally, I made a group and executed it for a couple of weeks with Midtown Church. The Mexican Consulate is another great organization, Health Education Council, and then the Iranian American Cultural Center are also great places to kind of build those partnerships, build those connections, because those might also turn into professional networking opportunities. You get to work with different students and different organizations or different specializations in the program. So it's a great way to just kind of flex those clinical mental health muscles, especially because for career students, especially, we don't get as much practice outside of practicum. So this is a great way to kind of narrow on that focus and kind of decide, hey, do I want to go get my LPCC? Do I like mental health, or do I really want to just focus on career development and mental health in that way? So it's a great way to kind of decide before graduating, what field you like to work in. But yeah, Dr. Rivas, Dr. Marshall, feel free to chime in with anything. I know this is kind of like your forte, so.
I think the only thing I would chime in with is I put our flyer into the chat. Feel free to share that flyer far and wide. Check out our services. Share it as much as I was going to say, share with people you know. Share it with people you know, but also normalize that idea that mental health is something that we're all working on. It's something that we're all engaging with, and the center is here to support that work. So keep sharing it, destigmatizing it, and making opportunities to provide services. A great thing about CCDS is our goal is to break down barriers to mental health access. So our services are free, they're virtual, they're in person, and our goal is to make it as easy as possible to access us.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing we're really proud of. We provide pro bono services to Sacramento and the California community. So that access, our ethos around access to mental health, this is our opportunity to provide that to our community.
All right, CSI. Dr. Marshall, feel free to hop in whenever. I know this is your org. But CSI is the honor society that we kind of mentioned in earlier slides. It's a national and international honor society for counseling professionals. So the fact that our program has its own specific branch of it, our own specific organization within CSI is a fantastic resource for students and also alumni. And it's a great way to get connected that way. So highly, highly recommend participating in any capacity that you can. Our specific branch is Chi Sigma Sigma, that chapter. All students are welcome and encouraged to join if they're eligible, and they provide students with opportunities for research, workshops, advocacy, community service events like the community service cleanup that Dr. Marshall was mentioning earlier. And like I said, lots of professional networking for post-grad. And there's also opportunities for leadership within the organization. So whether that just be working as a committee leader, a committee member, or more executive roles like president, there's also opportunities that way to kind of get involved in that leadership aspect and also participate in the honor society. Yeah, and then lastly, this is SCS. This is my This is my baby. I was president last year, so Student Counseling Society is really the social networking club on campus for our program. It's the specific social organization that we have here. We hold our welcome back events, winter celebrations, and we even help coordinate and execute our hooding ceremonies. So once you all pass through your CPC, get ready to be hooded. SCS is the organization that rents the room, preps the room, get everybody ready, get everybody together, and just make sure that the ceremony is smooth and exciting for everybody. So that's kind of behind the scenes of what makes our hooding ceremony happen in collaboration with our faculty and staff members and stuff. We're also in charge of organizing all the program apparel. So if you see any of us walking around with like a tote bag or a hoodie or sweatpants or a sweatshirt, anything along those lines, SCS is the organization that coordinates, pays for it through student dues and stuff like that, and make sure that all the designs and stuff are applicable and exciting for the program community. One of the bigger contributions SCS focuses on is that peer mentorship program, which is basically first year students are paired with a member of the more senior cohort. So in your instance, you'd be cohort 16. So a cohort 14 or 15 member would really be guiding you through the program from a student lens, giving you that feedback. I've gotten books and CPCE study materials from my mentor. So it's a great way to kind of pass along those resources, learning about classes, professional development opportunities, and really building those connections in your first few semesters, because you'll come to find out these core classes are going to be with members of your own cohort. So it's really going to take that extra step to network with your senior cohort, your middle cohort, people outside of your immediate classes. So Student Counseling Society really works to bridge those gaps and just make sure that the whole program not only is cohesive in a cohort sense, but also in the entirety community sense as well.
And then other on-campus resources. So we have the campus gym, which is called The Well. We have, I think out of the union, there's a food bank, the wellness center, and what's called the CARES office, which on here is listed as CalFresh or CalMed Assistance. Those are both located inside of The Well. Another thing not listed there, we also have urgent care at The Well, and then there's a pharmacy, a low-cost pharmacy at The Well. And then there's also writing support. I'm not too sure where that's out of, but there are several on-campus resources available to students. And then there's also a cohort directory, which for first years coming into the program, sometimes if you're not super close, if you don't already live super close to Sac State, it can be hard finding housing and just finding roommates. So this is a resource that was built recently to help individuals, find roommates and find housing for their first year in the program if they want to move closer to Sacramento or move within Sacramento. And then there are also scholarships and grants available. There's scholarships and grants available through the school, but there's also something called NBCC, and I forgot what that stands for, but
National Board of Certified Counselors.
yes, thank you. And they are able to offer other mental health grants and just various scholarships. Some like community mental health organizations may already be partnered through them, so you could also get them through like employers. And like I said, yeah, there's grants and scholarships through the campus. There are some set aside specifically for the um, I can't think of the name. The counselor ed program is what I'll say. And then our alumni network. Let's see. I'm not too sure about this one, Dr. B. Rivas. You know a
Which
little
one?
bit about the alumni network.
Oh, yes. So is that okay if I pop in?
Yeah.
So because we're K-Corp accredited, that gives you access to things that are under our professional identity umbrella, and the National Board of Certified Counselors and American Counseling Association are two of the organizations that are an aspect of our professional identity. So K-Corp is our accrediting entity, NBCC is our credentialing entity, and ACA is our professional organization. I know that's a lot of acronyms and a lot of information. Oh, but through that, we also have the and Chi Sigma Iota. So Chi Sigma is our professional student and graduate and our professional honor society that students, graduates, and faculty are part of. That gives you an opportunity for grants within each of those entities. So NBCC every year does a minority fellowship program for which if you're working with certain populations that we tend to do, it's usually a $12,000 grant to pay for your education, and also they provide continuing education and other opportunities. Chi Sigma Iota usually has grant opportunities to do research and other excellence grants as well. So it gives you access to some of these grants and scholarships that we have within our profession. And then campus level, the Alumni Association and our alumni network does fundraising to offer a counselor education scholarship. So they support our scholarship opportunities as well through the events that they hold. But the Alumni Association on campus also has scholarship opportunities, as well as the College of Ed and campus as a whole. One of the questions in there was, when can I apply? Once the deadline opens for applications, then students can apply and fill out their campus scholarship application. And then from that master one, you can apply for other specific ones. But no, there's some campus ones and some alumni ones, as well as some entities that are off campus through our professional orgs. I know there's a lot of information, but there's money to be had out there, and KCREP helps us with that.
And I have one more comment to make on the resources, just to reemphasize. Going on to alumni network, on that is we also have a lot of faculty who were once alumni and instructors that were alumni of our previous programs. So they understand how it is to be in your position, taking certain classes, understand how the course works. So it's really neat that also a lot of our alumni graduate and tend to be instructors or faculty as well of our program, which is a neat contribution that our program does. And going on to those grants and scholarships and grants, some of them require letters of references, and it's good to make those connections with your professors because a lot of them are really well connected and have great experience, and even can let you know if they hear about any opportunity that might benefit you.
All right, now just put in the chat just a few things for you all to look at. In that same vein, thank you all so much. Take a peek. And then last but not least, State of California sometimes has scholarship grants too. I should go back one. So there are some statewide initiatives that help support, like there's a Golden State Teachers one that offers funding usually in the $20,000 range for people going through like school counseling, for example. And then there's a HCAI. If they offer that again, it's in the same vein. When the both of them are offered, it offers something like $20,000 for individuals seeking professional licensure. So on those licensing paths. So we are here to communicate that. Every week for students in the program, we have a Friday digest with all these opportunities and information that is constantly going out through our Friday digest. So we are highly communicative and make sure that you have access to those opportunities as they come up. All right, how's everyone feeling? Should we do a quick feeling check-in? Use the chat. Where are you at? If you were to use the weather, where are you at right now? I'm going to count to 3, put a feeling word in there or a weather analogy. 1, 2, 3, go. Let's see who's still with us. Sunny. Yeah, bright, sunny, hot. Okay, no cloudy yet. Sweet. Excellent. Good to hear. All right. Birds are chirping. All right. So that is a little bit about our program. We're going to take a breath, and now we're going to move into how to apply and what to expect. All right, the application. So the Cal State Apply is your one-stop shop. And so any CSU you're applying for, you're going through Cal State Apply. Applying for fall of 2025 when you're creating your account. If you're coming back in like you've applied before, you would just log back into the account you had previously. October 1st is when the applications open up. And so you here in a few days, my gosh, it's almost October. In a few days, that's going to open up. There's an application fee. And the deadline and all of the materials have to be ready by then. So we're doing this information night. We have our ambassadors. We have online all the materials you'll need. While we talk about it, we'll go ahead and put it in the chat as well so you can begin to prepare your file. Our priority deadline is January 5th, and our final deadline is January 15th. We are doing a priority deadline so that we usually have a lot of applicants to our program. We typically have between 350 to a little over 400 applicants every year. And so having that priority deadline helps with applications that are in by then get packaged, because it goes from the Cal State Apply system through our campus entity, then to our program and department to be made available for faculty to review. And so to handle that mass volume, we're hoping that you consider a priority deadline so that your package is ready to be viewed sooner. But we do have that final deadline of January 15th. We do not accept late applications. We are a highly competitive program with a significant number of applications every year. After the 15th, we will not review. Those will be incomplete applications. So consider making those deadlines. The way we evaluate is a holistic approach. The way we assess in the program, and this is aligned with our accrediting entity, we are looking at knowledge, skills, and dispositions. This starts at our process at interviewing, and this is an aspect of our assessment and assessment activities for students in the program, and how we shape our assessment activities, but also curricular and programmatic experiences. So how we're assessing that aspect of knowledge is GPA and writing prompt. So a combination of GPA. Sac State's minimum GPA for graduate is 3.0, so is ours. And then writing prompt is another piece of that, where we're looking at your ability to address a prompt and to do some basic research and familiarity with APA. Skills are your experiences related to this discipline or not. Related experiences work as well, but we're looking at, do you have life experiences, or what are the skills that you're bringing to the table, as well as dispositions and self-awareness. So between our interview and personal statement, those are those more personal or dispositional and self-assessment measures, but it's holistic. So you want a balance of all of those pieces. Now, I talked a little bit about the GPA. A 3.0 is required in the last 60, 90. So part of that priority deadline includes our IT evaluating your transcripts to look at your GPA of 3.0 within the last 60 units or 90 quarter units. 60 semester units or 90 quarter units. So your last 2 years matter if you're coming from undergrad. Let's say you've been out of the educational space for some time and this is a career change. So that's one piece of it, but not the only piece. But this is a requirement that there be a 3.0. But we do have a but, because we look holistically. If someone's in that 2.75 to 3.0, we do recommend, well, it's up to you if you want to apply, because that's still not meeting the minimum standard. But in some cases, we have been able to put a special action or make a petition for special action for an exception to the GPA. But that means that it needs to have a strong application or a strong file in the other areas, whether that's skills or in other ways. If you are low in GPA, because again, it is a very competitive program, so that does matter, but it's not the only measure. If you are low in GPA and you're considering getting this information to prep ahead of time, consider taking other courses. And we have 3 counseling minor undergraduate courses that run through CCE. But on top of that, you could do this anywhere, where you're taking extra classes and demonstrating. It helps your GPA, and it demonstrates, some other competency areas that'll help just boost your GPA and give you some more good information to have that may be relevant to application. So this is the low GPA piece. If you've been out of school for a long time, you likely have some skills that you would want to lean on that part of your resume or your experiences, related or unrelated, are important to highlight. Do you have a strong work or volunteer history? Have you taken other classes after you graduated, or other experiences are going to be how you can at least put a stronger file together. So again, we don't have very many opportunities for that. We typically have about 2 exceptions to the OGS that we're able to petition if it's a strong file as a whole. And that would result in a conditional classification, meaning you would start conditionally, and after a successful semester, you'd apply for full classification. And so there are means, because we're looking holistically. This is counseling, right? The end goal is you're going to be working with vulnerable populations, you're working with people. And so we want a combination of all these things, knowledge, skills, and dispositions, because they're very interactional in our field. It's a lot of counseling in every area, right? So those are any information you have, we're looking really holistically and want you to be able to present a really good application package. So when you go through Cal State Apply, if you've not been through this, when you hop into Cal State Apply, you'll be choosing graduate for the appropriate application cycle, which this is an old screenshot, but you're looking at fall of 2026, and you would pick graduate. And then you would search for Sacramento, because you may be applying at San Francisco, CSUN. So you want to look for CSUS or CSU Sacramento. So you could do a search for Sacramento. And when that pops up, Sacramento and graduate, you'll see our 4 concentrations. So counseling, career counseling, marriage, couple, family, rehabilitation, or school. And you would select one of them. No, you can't apply to multiple. I think it would be a benefit for you in your application process to have a good idea of what you're applying to and why. And we share 45 units. We work together in so many spaces. We're all ending up with an LPCC eligibility. There's quite a lot of similarities that you really aren't missing something the way we have the structure of this program set up. But no, we do not switch. We do not have a process for you to switch concentrations, and we do not have a process for you to apply to multiple concentrations. Just one alone is enough. Because imagine this, if you're trying to do career and marriage and family, you need to have that expertise and that experience under supervision. That would be 1,200 hours you would need to be doing to have that expertise, right? So it just makes it not as feasible. So have a good idea of why you're applying to what you're applying for. I don't know if anyone else wanted to say anything.
Yeah, if I could pop in, there's a lot of differences between graduate program and undergrad. The main one is knowing what you're getting into. And so counseling is not something you just pop into, and it's not a survey course. It's not a generalist. It's when you apply, you should be well researched and understanding on why you want to do what you want to do. And so I would encourage all of y'all, as you're applying, that understanding what it's going to get in, what you're getting into. And I think that's what Dr. Shuri Rivas was speaking to there. And so I just wanted to make sure that I doubled down on that, that you are well aware of what you're getting into, because a master's program is a specialized program, and it is going to require some, and the students can speak to this, the current student ambassadors, that it's going to require a lot of introspection, intrapersonal growth, reflection, and we are training you to work with individuals in mental health and counseling settings, whether it's career, rehab, MCFC, or in a school, non-clinical setting in a school. We are training you to work with people. And so I, put that out there to ensure that you are researching and understanding what you're getting into, as this is much different than a generalist undergraduate degree.
Program outcomes has a lot of it. We collect a lot of data. So I'll throw our program outcomes in there in case you wanted to take a peek. All right, so wait, how fast did I go? All right, so you're picking one of them. Then once you pick one of them and you hit that plus sign, it's going to take you to what we're calling quad 4. So it's an area where you're entering your personal information, your academic history, supporting information, and then program materials. And that last part is what is going to be specific to what we're asking for. So if you're applying to multiple programs, 1 through 3, it's going to be relevant to all of the CSU that you're applying for, but all of our different CSUs are going to have a different program requirement for what they're expecting. And so ours is going to be in the 4 goes to that specific specialization or that specific program. So things to note, yes, you can only pick one. If you're a returning student or returning to the MS counseling graduate and applying, if you're returning. So we have an avenue for our alumni to return if they wanted to get their PPS. So they would just take the extra classes and do that extra internship. And that's something you could do if you ever needed to after graduation. If that's the case, then send us an email because we have to verify you're an alumni and make that process available to you. So if you're a returning MS counseling student just wanting to do the PPS credential, that's the process. If you're reapplying, sometimes people don't get in the first time, they apply the second time. And so if you're reapplying or existing in that CSU, use your previous username and login, and then make sure your contact information is up to date. We communicate with the information you give us, and so we don't want you to miss anything if you have some old information in there. We want to make sure that your information and your email in particular is updated. All right, so what are the quad 4 specific materials? All right, we're going to put this in the chat if you don't mind. Here is where you can go. Our annual application process is a good visit our website. Our website, we are so totally all about updating our website to make sure all the information is there. So please visit it. The annual application process will give you our timeline, and it'll give you information that you want with the process. And then specific to that quad 4, and we change this up every year, are not the instructions, but there's some pieces to it that we change every year. So log into the quick link and it'll take you to the application instructions. You'll need some time to prep the materials we're requesting. So you'll want to take a look at that and be ready. So the program specific materials, there's a concentration written statement. So to that point of, do you have a good sense of what you're applying to and what you're getting into and why? You want to have that tailored for that specialization, but also it speaks to you and your goals and how this fits into your goals. We'll want a resume or CV because this speaks to the skills piece. Use the Writing Center. They are a great support. The Career Center. The Career Center is a wonderful support with resume support, or the Writing Center if you're an alumni or from the campuses you're in. Use those opportunities to help strengthen it, but connect with our ambassadors. They can't write it for you. They can't give you an in, but they are able to support those processes to make sure if you have any questions, they can answer them. But we'll want a resume that fully encapsulates and gives us a picture of you and your skills in professional work. There's a recommendation form, so have at least 2 people identified that are willing to fill out the recommendation form. When you apply, you'll just want their contact information and they will be emailed a form to fill out. And I believe it lets you put more than 2 people in there. And that's a really important one for completion that's outside of your control. So make sure your recommenders are ready. So then there's a personal statement. So the written statement is kind of like a writing, and the personal statement is your goals and why. I think I kind of mixed that one up. And then we'll want an unofficial transcripts for all colleges and universities, every college and university. If you did any time in the community college along your way, or if you were doing that to up your GPA, make sure you have all of that submitted unofficially, because that helps us evaluate your last 60-90 GPA. So when you include that in your application, it goes to our IT, and that's why there's a process with priority deadline that needs to happen, that you're submitting everything unofficial transcripts is going to be really important. If admitted, then you'll need to submit all official transcripts. Okay, so item 1. So the first thing you're going to need, concentration-specific written statements. So it's a writing sample. You don't have to be an expert, but this shows us you can follow directions, you can do some basic research, you can format APA, that you have a basic understanding of APA, and it just supports that extra piece of academic aptitude. So the prompt changes every year. The current prompt is up right now. It serves as an assessment of your writing skills, aptitude for graduate, assessment of your experience, or at least exposure to research. Again, we're not expecting you to be an expert. That'd be wild. But rather that you can do some basic research to attend to a prompt and organize a paper. So we do want it to be APA 7, 2 to 4 pages, double spaced, at least 5+ APA citations, and uploaded as a PDF. Item 2, your resume or CV. So sometimes people forget to include certain things that are relevant. Have you had experience paid or volunteered related to counseling? Vulnerable populations is considered. So what kind of work have you done? Because if you're wanting to work with, let's say, couples, families, if you're wanting to work in career, what have you done that helps us get a sense that this may be a good fit with what you're saying your goals are? And I know you're not going to be doing it at the master's level, so these are probably volunteer, paid, unpaid, different types of experiences that you've had working with any of those groups, because it would probably be at the wouldn't be exactly the same, but it tells us, okay, you have some sense of what you're getting into. So examples are like teaching, coaching, instructional aids, tutoring, after school programs, ABA therapy, program coordination, camp counseling, rec programs, Peace Corps, if you volunteered at Weave, things like that. Don't forget to include the things that you've done. And then some of you may have very relevant mental health experience or career experience or K-12 experience. Some of you may be changing careers and it's related. If you'll notice, unique to our program, we're not expecting a specific undergraduate baccalaureate. We just want an earned baccalaureate because the training program is what you need to be able to be professionally ready. And so we look at that work history in that same vein of how does it fit and how does that fit with what you're telling us. Item 3, personal statement. So submitting a personal statement gives us an understanding of your goals and that pursuit towards that mental health career or that specialization. Again, the prompt changes, so take a look at what we have, and you're still following an APA format, 2 to 3 spaces, double space, 2 to 3 pages, no title, reference page, no citations. This one is uploaded as a PDF, but this is kind of why you're wanting to do this work. So we're able to see what you've done. We're able to see how you write academically, but this is how this fits into your future goals and why you want to be able to, why this is your personal statement as to why this fits. We require 2 recommendation forms. Initiate that contact as soon as possible. Consider asking people now. Your recommenders should be professional recommenders that can speak to the areas you're submitting to. So either a supervisor, a faculty, someone who has evaluated you in some capacity would be a good recommender that could speak to your knowledge, skills, and dispositions. So first reference, consider that being from someone maybe that could speak to your academic potential, a current or former instructor, for example. A second one could be someone who's observed your relevant experience in diverse settings, such as a supervisor. We're not being prescriptive on exactly that, but know that something like that would give us a good sense of what you told us a recommender has shared very similar experiences of you. All recommendation forms must be received by the application deadline. So the way we've moved to the form, it reminds your recommender, but you do want to make sure we have that information correct. Otherwise, it won't be going to them. So, connect early and then connect once you've submitted so they can keep an eye on it. This is not an upload of a letter of recommendation. This is going to be, you're giving us the contact and they're going to be given, they're going to be provided an email to log in and fill out a recommendation form. You can track that. So you can send your recommender a follow-up, advise them to check spam, give them a heads up it's happening, make sure the email's correct. But it will have that status in there. So check on that status as the deadline's approaching. And you can see that there. Okay, last thing. Unofficial is another thing you'll want to prepare and have ready to upload. Unofficial for all colleges and universities, including non-degree and transfer units, it's required for a completed application. It helps us ensure that you have the minimum GPA and that your file's ready to review with that minimum GPA. If offered admission, you will have to send official transcripts, but don't worry about sending official right away. Official can come when you've been offered admission, and that can be electronic or that could be hard copy. And we'll follow up with information to you if admitted. Following are not required. We do not require a GRE. We do not require CBEST, and CBEST is now for school counseling specifically waived if you've earned a B or higher in coursework. And so that's evaluated when you're ready to apply for PPS, but we don't require either of those things. All right, I'm going to take a deep breath. Next part of the flood of information, the evaluation process. So again, we are a competitive program. We put our outcomes in there so you can get a sense of last year's kind of application pool, how many people applied, how many people got interviews, how many people got in. But our evaluation process is, again, holistic, knowledge, skills, and self-awareness. And we're looking for a goodness of fit, but you should be looking for a goodness of fit and making sure this fits with your career goals, that it's the program you want to be in, the area you want to be in, that it fits for you professionally as well. We have a primary and secondary screening process. So all of the forms I just told you about has got to make it through the noise because we don't see you yet. We just see the file you've provided for us. So you want to make sure that file is the best representation of your knowledge, skills, and dispositions. And the faculty evaluate those files for primary screening. And so we evaluate, again, knowledge is GPA in writing, skills are letters of rec in your resume, and self-awareness is that personal statement. We then identify the individuals we are inviting for the secondary screening process. So not everyone makes it to the secondary screening because, again, we have a high number of applicants. Our secondary screening process is an all-day in-person experience. It is already the date is set, so it may be a benefit to hold this date, February 27th, 2026. It is all day, and it is here on our Sac State campus. We have an interview that you will have with a faculty and a third-year student. You will have a group activity, and then you'll have a writing prompt. So we're doing another writing prompt in person, so we can take a peek at it and your original. Save the date. There are no alternative dates and there are no virtual options. This is all for equity. It's everyone that is there being evaluated with the same in the same context. So the timeline and logistics. Applications are due. Priority is January 5th. Again, that helps all of the staff and administrative and IT pieces have that file ready for us. 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but the deadline is January 15th. January 15th is a hard deadline. The faculty screening happens between January 15th and February 6th. Invitations are sent to selected candidates for interview day, February 6th. We're finishing up, so like give or take beginning or end of day. Depending on how many we have that year, but we want to make sure you have plenty of notice for interview day. So by January 6th, we hope to send the notification. So again, make sure your information is updated because that's where you would be getting it, and keep an eye on your email that first week. Interview day is February 27th. And we try to move through fast-ish because there's so many bureaucratic processes in place. So we make our recommendation to the Office of Graduate Studies shortly after interview day by March 15th. The Office of Graduate Studies goes through a process of approval, and they verify that with your minimum GPA, and there's a verification process that happens there between March and May. And so you'll get an official offer from the Office of Grad Studies through that time. And so what we do is we have our admits and we have our wait lists and we have our denies. And so it takes a while to go through admit, and people aren't accepting, we move through wait list. So that happens from March through May. And so it's a little bit of a process. We start early because it's an extensive process. And then the new student welcome and emails from our program happen about April through June. So we'll give you a heads up. This has been the recommendation, but you do have to keep an eye on the formal communication from the Office of Grad Studies to submit your intent to enroll to hold that spot in the program. But we do communicate with you. And then once we have that solidified, we have our welcome email. We provide the cohort registration. We have a canvas where all of the information you would need is. That's where you start getting communication. And the Friday digest, we talk about registration. We have the handbook. We are really excellent in communication. You will get so much communication with us. And that'll be your start. So I spoke to this notification from OGS, whether you were accepted or denied. You have about 2 weeks to submit that intent to enroll. We immediately move into wait list because it is pretty competitive and we don't want people, we want to be able to move into our wait list. The process could take several weeks with OGS with admits because they do so on a rolling basis. Usually, I think it's something like every Thursday they go back through because there's about 77 programs, graduate programs on campus, and we're among them. We do our process a bit earlier, which helps. And you'd want to notify the Office of Graduate Studies as to any changes to your contact information. Emails, it's worth adding some of these emails as safe senders so that you can stay on top of the communication, that you're getting you're getting the important information, especially when it's time sensitive with all these processes. Again, the application and instructions are all on our website. Help links, the Office of Grad Studies, there's some things we can't answer as Office of Grad Studies is in the middle. So that's where you can contact them, anything transcript related, things like that. Financial aid, we are not really able to speak very well to financial aid office. That's their expertise area. So if you have any FAFSA questions, if anything related to how much is this going to cost, what does this look like, the financial aid office is the best contact. But we do have our ambassadors, we have our program, we have information on our website, Instagram. This video will be uploaded. So please feel free to contact us with anything. But seriously, really reach out to ambassadors. We're incredibly excited to meet you and then hope to see you again at interview day. With that very long-winded spiel, any questions? Yes. Ms. Jimenez.
Hi, I just wanted to ask a quick question regarding the email we use on the application. I am a current student, but will graduate this semester. If I use my student email, will I lose access to it in January through May? Or will it still be active?
Luis, do you know? Because you don't lose access right away, but I don't remember when. Luis, do you know by chance?
For I still was using it, but I think it's safer just if you have like a professional, maybe Yahoo or Gmail, because it might get paused, but once you become a student, it gets reactivated for sure. I know that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a tricky one because I think you have it for a while, but I don't know how long. So
Yeah.
just to be safe, whatever you check may be the safer option.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe it lets you do 2 emails.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
You're
So if you
welcome.
want to put like the Sac State one as like an alternate email, you could do that.
Other questions? Miss Powell.
Hi, I had a question about letters of recommendation. I was wondering if I have like a professor who recently retired, um, but was willing to give a letter of recommendation. Is that still appropriate, or does it have to be current professors?
No, that would be appropriate because they'd be a good evaluator of your knowledge, skills, dispositions, whatever role they had. And it's not really a letter, so maybe clarify because some places may want a letter that the faculty's writing, but for
Mhm,
us, it's a form that'll be emailed. So
mhm,
just double check with him, her, them that you have the right email, and then
mhm.
communicate when it's the email will be coming up, you know. But yeah, that would be totally appropriate.
So if it's just say a personal email because they don't have access to that professional email from being a professor anymore, that's still okay?
Yeah, because the form includes who they are, their relationship with you, how long they've known you, and then there's
Okay.
a few other questions. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Ms. Marita.
Yeah, hi. Thank you guys for putting this on. This has been a great info session. I just had a question that I guess pertains more towards after graduation, and I don't know if you can answer this, but is there a system set up to help facilitate postgrads in finding supervisors? And do you run any issues in your students specifically finding those supervisors?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Usually, a good portion of our students end up employed where they interned. And because you're applying for your associate status, if that's not the case, wherever you apply typically offers supervision. And so that's usually part of you being in an associate status. But our alumni network is growing. It's a few years old, having this formal route to have the alumni network. So they're expanding into mentorship, professional development, and resources. And so we hope to be able to curate a list like that. But right now, you build so many connections within the program and network within the program that it doesn't seem to be a thing that's coming up in our community advisory boards as a meeting, as a need. It tends to be kind of built in. Luis, Mary, Dr. Marshall, Rivas, Kaylani, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. Because Luis spoke about one of the professional organizations and just kind of embedded in is a network. So we try to make sure you have those connections with alumni and faculty so that you know who to reach out to. Dr. Rivas?
Yeah, I was just going to echo what you said. Is most of our students, well, in California, you have to work at a site, a corporation, generally a company, um, for your clinical hours, and the vast majority of them provide clinical supervision as part of hiring APCCs. Where you may run into it is if you go for licensure in another state that allow you to do private practice on your own with external supervision. And in that case, that would be a different thing. But within California, you're generally going to receive supervision where you work.
I think this would be a good plug for the alumni LinkedIn too. If for whatever reason you don't choose to stay at your internship site, a lot of alumni, from what I've seen so far, have posted like if there are any job openings at their wherever they're working at currently. And like Dr. A. Rivas was saying, usually you're getting supervision from like your job associations and things like that. So yeah.
Thank you all. Ms. Gray.
I have another question about the recommendation letters. So it's been quite some time since I've been in school, but I have a professional like individual picked out for the recommendation letter. I was curious, is there any kind of like time limit? Is that okay if I reach out to a professor from, quite some time ago when I graduated?
It doesn't have to be an instructor. Really, honestly, anyone who could speak to their relationship with you and their evaluation of you. And
Okay.
so, I mean, I'd avoid your friend or a family member. But anyone who's been in any kind of a professional capacity with you would probably be able to evaluate you. And that's the whole theme behind it, is that it's a recommender that could speak to those areas.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was a good question. Mr. Gayer?
Hi, I have a question.
So sorry. Well, we'll go next because there was one hand up.
It is me.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much. You recommended, or I mean, you mentioned that you guys had the ability to, that students would have the ability to have some flexibility in scheduling of the classes. With the cohort model, I understand everybody's going to be able to get into each of the classes, but how impacted are they if you're trying to schedule around, other obligations?
Oh yeah, that's a really good question. So we survey every other year our students, our community advisory board, student representatives will do a survey, and one part of it is always what is the time that works best for you. So some of our students try to pack it in one day. You will have an academic hangover if you pack it all in one day. It's just a lot of information. It's exhausting. But some people have to do that. Most people tend to do 2 days. And so the most popular time is a 4 o'clock. Not as favorite is a 7 p.m. and then depending on the cohort, 9 and 1. So we've tried to make sure we've modeled a schedule by cohort to make sure that you can do them in 2 days or a whole day. And we know career tends to work full time and they're going to want to do a 4 and 7. Some of the other specializations have more flexibility, but there's not going to be an impacted because we make sure that there's room across all of the sections. For example, every core class will have 4 sections running. But it's hard to tell if that year everyone's competing for the same section. And I'll have Mary Louise and Kaylani speak to that. Some people, we provide the schedule in advance. We have our schedule templated out through 2029, and then we just make sure we have the academic year out. So you can see it and start planning your schedule to save them in the cart. But then when your registration goes, it's a matter of like go time to try to get your schedule. And what I found over time is that if you don't get the schedule you want, just sign up for classes, because people right before the semester starts usually switch classes. Or if you have a need, because we're a cohort model, if you ask other people if they're willing to switch, some people have flexibility and they can. And so those are the ways that I found people tend to work it out. But we try to have an offering that is across each of those areas so that it's not too competitive. But 4 tends to be the most competitive, but not everyone's wish to have a 4, So I don't know, Luis, Kehlani, Mary, I don't know if you could add to that.
The only thing I will add to that is that sometimes your specialization classes are one section. So for like some of the second and third year career classes, it's Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. And there's enough spots for everybody, but that's the time. They don't offer other classes. For the core classes, like Dr. Rivas was saying, there's anywhere from like 9, 1, 4, 7, those times. But for your concentration classes, once you get deeper into the program, it's one class offered for everybody.
But it usually fits. So we have it kind of plugged into what you typically be taking anyway. Do you all fight for classes?
Yeah, I think for me, I've only been an evening person. I've never taken a morning class throughout my time in the program, as I've been working full time the first 2 years. So it's kind of the evening ones
Okay,
were
stop.
preferably for me. But I've always been a two times a week person, taking the 4 to 10 p.m. route.
And I'm
That
on the
was
flip
very helpful.
side.
Thank you.
I'm a day student, so
So you see, there's options, for your preference.
Yeah, and it's Monday through Thursday, so it usually gives some wiggle room. But I wish we could make it perfect. There's 220 people. We can't make everyone happy, but we sure try. But yeah, excellent question.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have, we're at the 6, but I remember hearing one more voice. So do we have one last question?
I had a few questions.
Yes,
My name is Chelsea. Can you read the website? I'm visually impaired, and so it's too hard to go through the chat.
absolutely. Yeah. Um, which,
Your main website that has all the different requirements for the application.
yes, absolutely. Gosh, we got a heck of a chat going. Let me pull it up. Alex, do you have it up by chance?
Yes, and I also dropped it into the chat to make it easier for you to read, Dr. Asher.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That
Thanks.
helps. It is https://www.csus.edu/college/education.
Those are forward slashes, Dr.
Oh
Sherry.
gosh, and Dr. Rivas, you do this one. I mix up all of my characters. My apologies. Dr. Rivas, I'm gonna have you do it.
Okay. So it's the csus.edu/college/education/masters n-programs, and just the master's programs, and then it is /specialties n-concentrations /counselor or n-education, and in there, then the next one is /perspective n-students.html. It's a long web address.
Dr. Rivas, do you want to give out our email address? Because if Chelsea, if you want to connect to us through email, we can also connect with you over that way as well.
Alex,
Yeah.
I always forget the email address, so I'm gonna have Alex.
It is, I'm going to drop it into the chat, but it is C as in Charlie, O as in Oscar, E as in Edward, dash counselor, ed as in education, at csus.edu.
Okay, and then once you apply to the grad program and say you're accepted, what does a typical week look like as far as hours and time schedule?
Oh, that's a good question. So each class is 2 hours and 50 minutes. And so your first semester you're usually taking between 9 and 12 units. So first semester is 4 classes. So you're here for 2 hours and 50 minutes times 4. So a good portion of that. In terms of other commitment or study time, I don't know, Luis, Kaylani, Mary, what does that usually look like for you?
Yeah, I think for that, there's certain classes you might have more strength in, and that's kind of what determines where you prioritize time. I come from like a arts and ethnic studies background, so when it comes to multicultural courses, a lot of it is familiar. It's just at a more counselor perspective. So that allows me to focus more maybe on theories, where it's some area where I need more studying time. So you start kind of finding that balances throughout your semesters of kind of understanding your strengths and areas of growth. And as for working full time, a lot of me personally, a lot of the homework assignments was done on the weekends since you only meet once per week, and you get your syllabus ahead of time. So you're able to really kind of create that game plan of seeing what can I focus on this weekend or maybe on the days you're less busy. Really utilize that syllabus to see which assignments will take most of your time is one suggestion I would provide students with.
And in the first year and a half, it's real content heavy, so a little fewer, more classes. And then we try to have it lighter in classes in that last year in particular, but you're filling that time with internship. And so it just looks different, but a good question in the chat is for the ambassadors, how do you feel balancing your work and school or attempts to balance? I mean, you're going to have a lot of balls in the air, and the goal is to try to keep most of them up So balance-ish. What do y'all do?
Managing work, school, doctor's appointments, all under one umbrella, and life.
It's not
Just
forever,
get
I'll tell you that much. It's
Yeah,
heavy for a
it's
short period.
not forever, and also get really extremely beautifully good at setting boundaries. Just really good. If a work event is trying to get you to stay until 6, but you have a class at 7 and you want a break, take a break. The first semester is kind of like experimenting what works best for you. And so I can take a class from 9 a.m. and end at 10 p.m. as long as I have nothing else the next day. Some people, they're like, I need one class and then after that I'm done. So it really comes down to knowing yourself. And then in terms of like the personal priorities, you're gonna have to learn when to compromise. You can't do everything. And coming from somebody who was in leadership last year and taking a bunch of classes and working multiple jobs, something's got to give at some point. If for that week you have a midterm, maybe the student leadership can wait. If you have a big work event coming up, like for me, the career fair, maybe my homework can wait a day and wait until the next day if it's not immediately due. So just learning when to, like Louise said, prioritizing. If you know it, maybe you don't need to spend 4 hours studying it. Same thing as if you need this doctor's appointment immediately, maybe you should skip out on this welcome back event or something like that. That's kind of how I have learned to navigate it.
Okay.
Hold on, that broke up. What'd you say?
Like, what is the class?
I'm so
I
sorry, that
think
was really hard to hear.
I think the microphone might be covered.
How many grads are usually in the class?
I got how many, then I missed the rest. Well, let's do this. We can always hang on for a minute. So let's do this. Right now,
How many students are in the class?
Oh, a good question. We accept about 20 per specialization, and so there'll be 80 each, no more than 80 each cohort, and every class is about 20 because it's 20 per specialization. For the core classes, we run 4 sections, so about 20. Our classes caps are usually between 6 and 12 for a practicum internship, but 12 and to 23 max if it's a specialization and a bigger unique needs where we need a 23, but usually our caps are about 18-ish, but it'll fit there's no one not able to sign up for a class. Then the last question is there ambassador for schools? So school and career right now we don't. Our 3 counselor ambassadors are trained for all the specializations, and there's some pretty significant overlap with school and career, rehab and marriage and family, and all 4 of them all together, career and rehab. And so they're very well trained to be able to give you an idea of what that looks like. We have friends across specializations. We work interdisciplinary. Everyone knows everyone pretty well, but also they're very well trained to be able to answer those questions. So we're at 6:08. I want to make sure, Chelsea, I hear what you had said, but I want to respect everyone's time and kind of terminate or conclude our meeting. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our ambassadors, our faculty that are here. Thank you to everyone who has been here. It is nice to meet you, and we look forward to seeing your applications and hopefully meeting you at interview day. We'll have this recording online. Enjoy your Friday. Thank you, thank you, thank you.